caught between my girlfriend and my family. Should I break up? We are in a relationship for 3 months. I know, doesn't amount to much. For me, it's my first relationship, while she has been in a relationship of 3 years before. The problems we face are caused by 2 factors. Factor 1. Sadly, she has some past trauma from that relationship, while for me and my family things are new. About her past trauma, you can think about unsure to open up, some kind of trust issues, sometimes feeling a burden, especially if she has to text first. During our dating phase, I assured her that I'm a different person than her ex and that I would treat her with respect, and she isn't a burden, never. I actually tell her that again from time to time. I also recognize some behavior of anxious attachment. I recognize because from origin I'm anxious attached too, but I've worked on that for months before I even met her because of painful dating experience, and I feel and behave more secure now. Not saying it doesn't show up sometimes, I admit. This, but also other things, sometimes leads to discussions. Sometimes, as in once a week. We can always talk it out the same day, but the majority of them are because of her past trauma and feel childish. 90% of the time, she is the one starting the discussion BTW. Over these 3 months, I can see improvements in her behavior, though. She opened up, and she's finally started to communicate concerns in a calm and rational way instead of purely emotional and overreacting. For me, these are signs her past trauma is finally moving away, and she started to do her inner work. She has also recently started seeing a psychologist. But of course, these discussions all the time don't feel pleasant to me and has made me questioning the relationship from time to time. I like her, and I support her, but in the end, I'm not the one who has to fix her. I'm not a quitter either, and I see the improvements. We always told each other we are a strong team. Factor 2. As said before, things are new for me, but also for my family. I think it's typical, but my mother doesn't like the relationship. For the first time, she isn't the most important woman in her son's life anymore, so that certainly plays, but also the fact that she tells me that she doesn't know her. My girlfriend has come to our place only a few times. The majority of the time I go to her place, as we have more privacy there, and I think it's quite normal that the man goes to the woman. Those things plus something that happened in the very beginning of our relationship, which was my fault mainly. My mother thinks she tries to pull me away. Unfortunately, as my relationship with my mother has always been good and don't want to break it, I take that very personally. Every time I leave home to go to my girlfriend, I know she disapproves it because of her replies, which are only short and annoyed then. This just doesn't feel good for me, but sadly enough weigh on my relationship as I feel limited. I understand this is my mother, not me, and aside from the fact she doesn't know her, it has nothing to do with this particular girl, but with having a girl in general. She has to understand I'm goddamn 30 in a few months. My mother behaving like this triggered my girlfriend, which then triggered my mother again, and feels like an endless circle now. For me, it feels like I'm caught between 2 fires. Both these factors now lead to the point where I can't take it anymore and where I don't know what to feel or think anymore. On one hand, I feel like I should break the relationship as everything looks get up now and whereafter peace will return, but it is just to put out one of the 2 fires. And on the other hand, I feel like I need to be brave, don't give up yet, and continue. Take my girlfriend more often to my family, and give her some more time to work on herself. Really looking forward to your replies. How do I stop taking my boyfriend's defensiveness personally? Backstory. Part 1. I 23F have been dating 29M for over 2 years and have been living together for the last 6 months. We can call him John. Mind you, I knew that moving in with a partner would add more stress to the relationship because of many factors, and it is expected. Let me also add that I know from John's past relationship he has a lot of trauma and feels confrontation as an attack. That can make him very assertive with his defensiveness. He understands it's something he needs to work on, and I give him that patience. I understand completely as I have my own triggers from my past relationships that John gives me patience with. Overthinking being the best example in this scenario. I feel like since we've been together, we've been making great progress in our respective traumas and are working to move forward. We both want each other to be happy, and our end goal is marriage. Backstory. Part 2. I knew that John liked to smoke weed in his spare time to relax. But John recently got a new job that has regular surprise testing, so John couldn't smoke anymore. It's been very difficult for John to get over since he's been smoking for a very long time enough that he admits he's addicted. I've been trying to help him not smoke and have been very patient with him, trying to get over it. Well, John made some friends at work and figured out some ways to still smoke without it showing up on his test. All of this so far I have been fine with. I have the same situation with my job, so I was just glad John found a way around it to continue his hobby. Then I found out that to continue smoking, John liked to use certain smoke shop vapes that I don't like. I don't like them for the fact that they are not real and they have lots of added chemicals that are not nice to the body. One symptom of which I noticed with John is that it gave him a very bad cough to the point I am concerned with him getting very sick. I asked John to stop using those vapes because I didn't like what it did to him and how it affected our relationship. He agreed, and for a while everything was fine. Then a week ago, as John was getting ready for work, I went into the bathroom to grab something quick, and I saw him with one of those vapes. We had the discussion again where I told him, I don't care that you smoke. I like to smoke sometimes too, but you promised me that you wouldn't use those vapes because they will make you sick. He agreed that he didn't like the vapes either and that he was sorry he hid it from me and that he bought one. He insisted he didn't tell me because he was just worried that I would get mad at him, and then he promised again he would stop using them. Today, though, as I was cleaning the house, I found another vape in a way that seemed to be hidden. I assumed that John must have bought it at the same time as the other one because it was the same type as the other and it was already dusty, so it must have been there for a bit. This immediately hurt my feelings because it felt like it was hidden on purpose and that John didn't tell me he bought two. He only told me he bought one. I texted John about it and asked why he didn't trust me. John proceeded to call and to tell me that it was never hidden. He thought he lost it because he thinks he put it down without thinking. He claims he loses things all the time, which is fair. This man loses his wallet like no tomorrow. So I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. I agreed and told John that he must have forgot to tell me he bought two as well, because I also found the first vape in the couch where he loses things all the time. He insists that he does trust me and to throw the vapes away because he didn't need them anymore. I said okay, and that I loved him, and that was the end of the conversation. I want to let this all go, but I can't help but feel offended. During the conversation, I felt dumb and like I was being gaslit. That whole time I let him explain himself, I forced myself to turn off the question. Does he really think I'm that dumb? I thought if I asked that question, it wouldn't be fair to him, and it would seem like I would be accusing him of lying. That would just make me a hypocrite for not trusting or believing him as I thought he did me. In the end, he was just so defensive with our entire conversation, even though I wasn't trying to be accusatory. Am I overthinking way too much into this? How can I move on and best support him without dragging on this conversation and overthinking? I'm just trying to understand what's the best way not to take his defensiveness personally. I think I just want to be friends with my long-distance girlfriend. What should I do? Hello, I was hoping for some advice on how to move forward with my current predicament. I, 19F, and my long-distance girlfriend, 21F, have been officially in a relationship for about 3 weeks, but we've been in a more than platonic relationship for almost 4 months. For background, I'm aromantic and have struggled heavily in the past with romantic relationships and guilt around romance, feeling suffocated. So we waited a few months to see if we were both on the same page before making it official. I thought that if I proved to myself that it worked for at least a month without the proper title, then changing it to official wouldn't cause any issues. However, I'm starting to panic, and I'm starting to think things would have been better if we just had stayed friends. I also think maybe this could just be avoidant attachment as we call almost every single night, and I really value my independence, but I feel bad saying no as she gets noticeably upset. Like we just had to talk about her feeling bad over us not talking enough. And she ended up crying, so I went with it as it felt like a jerk move to say I'm struggling with the exact opposite of needing more space when she was feeling really down about it. Unfortunately, with the holidays coming up too, and having family and friends in town, I can see this being a major issue. I want to prioritize seeing family/friends I haven't seen in months/a whole year, but I know she's going to feel bad about not spending enough time together. She has also been talking about coming up and visiting me for the first time, as her mom lives a few hours from me. But I genuinely don't know the timing with the holiday breaks and when I'm free and be. I feel like meeting her in person is going to confirm this whole panic one way or another, and I don't want her to spend all this time and effort just for it to be the ending of our relationship. I can picture being in a relationship with her and the future of living together, but I'm starting to think it's as friends. I'm also not really physically attracted to her. Like, I think she's beautiful and so lovely, but I don't know if I could kiss her or do anything further. I've been battling with possibly being asexual, so I think that's part of it too. I really like her, and we've been friends 2 years before getting in a relationship, and I really don't want to lose her friendship. However, I know that's selfish to string her along under false pretenses. I thought that maybe I was just overreacting and overthinking, and in a week it would be fine, and I could be fine. But it has been almost a week, and I'm still panicking, and I think she's picking up on it, as well as our interactions have been very stilted lately. I think I know my answer, unfortunately, as I've been thinking if we could easily go back to being friends, I would pick that option, but I know it won't be like that. I feel horrible, too, because she came out to her parents about me. They're supportive more or less, and all her siblings/close family know about me, which I know would put her in such an awkward situation to explain if we ended things. Also, I don't know how to deal with our mutual friends because I know that'll be a whole other ordeal, an awkward discussion if it does end. I'm planning on talking to her this weekend about what I've been thinking/worrying about, but I don't know how to go about it without saying too much or directly hurting her. I'm sorry this is so messy/chaotic, but any advice is extremely appreciated, and thank you for reading this far. Is she the one? Why I can't let go after our breakup. How it all started was we men on Valorant, and then I got invited to a Discord server. We played a few games with 5 people. After that session, I didn't join back for like a week. Then I saw them playing and I joined. So after we played, it was a couple of us just talking about relationships. So the one I ended up with said she didn't want to be in a long-distance relationship. So I knew that from the start, this is important for later. Then I would say for a month or so we played and watched movies online. Then I was catching feelings for her. I told her how I felt and told her she doesn't need to respond to me. I just wanted to tell her. After that, we got closer and closer. Eventually, we started talking/texting all day, every day through Discord. We talk about how we are feeling, and she keeps saying actions are louder than words because she gets flustered and nervous about it. In a cute way. I went on a trip, and my internet was bad, so I finally asked for her number so we could talk and stuff through that. I had an Android at the time, and then I got an iPhone like 3 weeks after that. For her, and all my friends on my ass about it. Now with the iPhone, we literally FaceTime almost every free time we get. Before and after work, when we wake up, and to go to bed. So about 4 months, and we finally planned for me to go see her. We planned a trip in 3 weeks. In those 3 weeks, we talked about every possibility, like kissing, sex, intentions, and everything. Like I am a virgin and only have got blowjobs and given head back. She knew this, so it was sweet we talk about a lot of possibilities. 1 week before the trip, she tells me, "My name, I really like you a lot." It was out of nowhere, and it was really sweet. Long story short, the first day was good. Little nervous, but we were already kissing, holding, and cuddling. That night we get a little intimate, and it was really natural and was going well. We didn't do anything I haven't done before, but she said, "Don't feel pressure, and we don't have to rush this." It made me feel even more safe with her. So after chilling in bed, just talking, I did a horrible thing. In a response to her, I said, "No, don't feel bad," and said my ex's name. I feel like shit and wanted to go. We both were silent for a bit and then talk about it. In the moment, I wanted to get an Uber and plane ticket home at 3 a.m. We go to bed after talking a lot. I wake up, and then I decide to take a walk, and she wants to talk to her roommate. I get back after a 2-hour walk, and we talk again. She genuinely believed my apology, but she started to think about other things. She knows I don't like my ex, but she was the only person I talked to for 2 years, and she understood. But me saying that lead to her thing of things in the way between us. 1 was long distance that I knew from the start, and 2 was family. She is Jewish as the race, but doesn't believe the spiritual thing, if that makes sense. But family is her number, so she doesn't think her dad will be okay. In my head, I was like, if I was good enough, then it shouldn't matter. So that was the start of the second day. After a bit, the chemistry was still there, and we went back to cuddling, kissing, and just talking cute. I slept in her bed again, thinking I was going to sleep on the couch. Start of my finally day. We have a cute day with walking around and going place. Just a big long date. 3 hours before my trip, we have a dreaded talk we knew we would have. She's saying she needs time after I leave to think about things. As of now, she really likes me and doesn't want to hurt me, as we have two big factors in her eyes. It was hinted like there is a low chance of us working as of now. So, this little time break felt like I may never talk to her or see her again, or help her figure what she wants out. So I told her everything I liked about her. Just so you guys know my feelings, I have only been in one relationship, and it was super stressful and lasted 2 years. She has been in 2 toxic relationships. Like I said, she said she loved how I treated her and never made her pressured for anything. So, with her it felt naturally and easy to talk. I don't usually talk about my feelings to friends or family, but I felt safe with her. I was able to talk to her for hours a day on FaceTime or call, and that is usually hard for me to do. Also, she was so beautiful, everything about her I like. Normally, everyone has something you hate, even family and friends, but not her. I told her all of that. Last hour comes, and we are just hugging and crying in the couch. Just the thought of never texting again hurts. Also, in 5 months, it was gradually going up, and then in seconds, it felt like it was ruined. She dropped me off, and we were crying and saying goodbyes, and I kissed her one more time. Like everything still felt right and safe. I get home and texted I'm home and thank her for the taking care of me on my trip. I told her why I liked her again. I'll miss talking to her every day, letting her know I will do anything I can to make this work, and then I say I hope it's only for a short time, but goodbye her name, and I'll miss you. She responded back with thank you for respecting me, and she will keep everything close to her heart. I noticed she left my friend's Discord, so I left her friends, and that hurt. I woke up and texted her and said she would still be friends on Instagram and TikTok and send reels, and can we call once a week. She was really sweet, and at night, she said, sorry, I need today for myself, and she said that was good with her. After talking to a friend, I said thank you for letting me talk to you still, because, I want to, but let's not talk for a bit. She said thank you again. That's where we are now, and it's been 2 days. Also, she turned read recites off, so that hurt as well, but I know she wants space. Little last bit, she told me no one is ever treating her this good, and she still cares for me a lot. So in my head, like, why can't we be together? But I respect what she's thinking, of course. Both of us didn't skip a beat after the bad news. Never felt awkward, and still made stupid jokes. Sucks she was my daily routine, and now I just think about her being sad. Also, we both make good money, and could easily visit every other week, and we knew that. I told her I would move out in a couple of months if we keep vibing with each other. My questions: what do you think I should do to get her back? Like, how long should I wait for a text from her until I have to respond myself? If I genuinely think she is the one, should I give her all the power in this? Or should I try something? Because right now, she has all the power. I know waiting for a bit is good, so she knows I respect her, but I don't want to give up. Do you think if I didn't say my ex's name, these other conversations would have happened? I felt like they wouldn't have on this trip for sure, and I could have got closer to her, where they hopefully wouldn't have mattered. Also, any advice is welcomed, and not saying I will take the advice, but I want different people's outlooks. Thank you for any reads and advice. My boyfriend's arrogance is driving me crazy. Should I end it? My BF and I have been together for over 4 years, and I've been feeling quite guilty about my thoughts and emotions lately in regard to my relationship. Sometimes I feel rather disgusted in myself because I've never been the kind to look down on anyone. My boyfriend is a man from a single mother household. His mother is truly such a sweetheart and has always lifted up her sons. Of course, that's great. You should ensure your children have faith in themselves. I believe the problem is she may have, perhaps, overdone this. When my boyfriend and his brothers were young, they scored quite high for their age on standardized tests/intelligence tests, so much so that their tester was surprised to see so many intelligent people in one family. I feel this may have been the cornerstone to their future sense of self and ability. When my partner took an IQ test for Mensa a year ago, he scored 112, which is not a bad score at all. However, he was disappointed, saying he didn't just want to be average, especially knowing how intelligent he was as a child. I explained to him that the tests he took as a child may have been different, and that IQ is just one branch of what we consider to be intelligence. I scored 136 on SB5. and he truly seemed resentful. I explained that the discrepancy could be due to the fact that I've had many more years of formal education, over 6 since graduating high school and counting. Whilst he never graduated high school, an IQ is indeed correlated with formal education. I also had access to much better nutrition, sleep, and opportunities. After all, your brain cannot develop when deprived. IQ is not the end-all-be-all of intellectual ability, and many factors affect it. I do not think I'm some kind of genius or better than he is. The thing is, lately he has just been going on and on about his abilities, calling himself an artist, a scientist, and talking about how amazing he was at sports. He always talks about how he has theories about the world, space, and time. I think one of the moments that irked me the other day was when he was helping me study for an exam, and he started talking about my professor, how he was doing things stupidly because he didn't list every step he took in mathematical detail. I wouldn't have the gall to talk down on my professors, most of whom have 20-plus years in the field, hundreds of publications, and several degrees. He even tried to prove that one of the well-validated theorems in the subject was incorrect, and I'm ashamed to say my first thought was, honestly, who does he think he is? He also talks about how he's an amazing writer, but as someone who writes as an art, as a hobby, and scientifically for a living, he writes honestly just like everyone else. He talks about his inbuilt athleticism, but when we exercise together, I continue exercises well over twice as long as him, and I don't consider myself an athlete of any sort. This also leads him to get frustrated and angry at everything else. A few weeks ago, I took the GR for fun. I don't plan to go into a related field just yet. I'm in the medical field. I just wanted to see where I stand, and I scored well over the 90th percentile. My BF asked to see some of the questions, and when he couldn't understand them, he started going on about how it is written stupidly and correcting their perfectly correct math. I know it's awful to think that way about someone you love, but to put it bluntly, his behavior is starting to aggravate me. I think perhaps this is resentment from mistakes he has made in the relationship. To give an example, just recently he got himself drunk and ended up kissing a girl. Twice. Maybe on some level I'm trying to get myself to dislike him. I don't know. All I know is sometimes I want to yell, "You are not as smart or talented as you think you are." You need not tell me how awful that is. I already know. I just want advice on how to navigate my feelings and dismantle these thoughts. Being this way is affecting my relationship with myself, because I truly just feel like a mean person, a bully, if you may. I've never said anything to him. I always just nod or reassure him that he's smart, but I just want to stop this cycle I'm in. Thank you. My husband's irresponsibility makes me scared to have kids. What should I do? My husband, 27M, of 3 years, together for 8, is so irresponsible that I have a genuine fear of him burning down our house, letting our cats out, and leaving our house open for any stranger to walk into. It has gotten to the point that as we are starting to want children, I am becoming terrified of having children with him for the simple fact that he is negligently irresponsible. Here are just a few examples of how he has showed me how irresponsible he is. I once had to leave work hours early and drive 30 minutes home because he left not 1, not 2, but 4 candles burning in our house with 3 cats running around. He couldn't leave work to check and just wanted the house to smell good when I came home. Just last week when I woke up for work around 6 a.m., our front door was wide open and unlocked. There's a glass door that was closed so cats were okay, but that door also wasn't locked. He said it wasn't a big deal. To me, as someone who had nightmares about people breaking in, and he knows that it was a big deal. He cleaned out our basement by taking all of the cardboard boxes, just moved in a couple months ago, and surrounding our 50-year-old electric heater. Then argued with me why I didn't tell him to move them elsewhere sooner. That is in a back room, and I figured he recycled the boxes. He will also do minor things like leave the windows open when he leaves. Our cats have ripped through windows and escaped at our old home. Leave water running in the sink for hours on end for the cats. Plug power strips into power strips. Leave on all the lights for hours on end while he isn't home. Leave food out that our cats could choke or be poisoned from. He forgets to turn the oven lock on after using it. Our cats have turned the oven on multiple times from this, and multiple other minor things. I understand being forgetful, but some of this stuff is a big deal to me and the safety of us in our home. Not to mention running up utility bills an ungodly amount. When I talk with him about these things, he gets defensive or bushes them off as no big deal. He doesn't think the bills are too high, he doesn't have a job, and he lost it for literally being irresponsible. He doesn't think anyone will break into our home. We live in a big city and only have lived here for a few months. He doesn't believe the cats will escape since they like our new house. They have escaped in this exact way before. Since we have been talking about having children lately, I have brought all of these examples up as reasons why I am nervous to do so. He wants kids badly and blows up on me about how none of these things are reasons why we shouldn't have kids. He says that having children brings about a greater sense of responsibility and that by having a child, he will inherently become more responsible. Like an automated response. I'm sure that's true in a small sense, but with all of the irresponsible things he does on a daily basis, my gut feeling is that he will not become more responsible automatically. I don't think he actually cares or thinks enough about it. I don't know how to further the conversation and help him to understand why all of this is the main reason I don't want kids right now. I'm always seen or be nagging or overreacting about the situations. I'm not sure which route to go to get it through his head that while I love him, I can't morally feel comfortable bringing a child into our home at this time. I just don't trust him to be responsible for a child's safety at this time. How can I help cement this fact to him and bring him to understand that his actions do have impact on my trust of him and trusting him to be a safe figure around our child? TLDR. Husband is financially and morally irresponsible. Could have burnt down our house on multiple occasions. Leaves the opportunity for strangers to just walk into our home overnight. I'm not trusting of his responsibility, and he only sees my issues as nagging or overreacting. I don't want kids with him until he can prove he can be responsible for a child's safety. How do I get him to really understand where I'm coming from? Edit. Some people are mentioning ADHD, and I thought I'd clear up that he does in fact have ADHD, as do I. He doesn't take medication because he has bad PTSD from issues it caused when he was a child when he first started taking medication. To add, I also think he has some kind of CTE from years of playing sports. I have tried to get him to go to therapy or counseling, but he doesn't believe in it, nor do we have the money for therapy. Also, he isn't stupid, but he's not the smartest person I know. He's very intelligent in some respects, but as noted above, very incompetent in others. As for his job, he just lost it 2 weeks ago. It's not like he's been jobless forever. The job he had been working for 4 years before he was let go. It was a high-paying managerial position, and he was good at it. It was a one-time mistake that was against company policy and resulted in him losing his job. I think a lot of his interpersonal issues are a result of him losing a job he enjoyed and was good at. People at his workplace were very upset he was fired and even reached out to me because of that. For those asking why I married him and how I hadn't seen these things in the past, these instances have only really started showing the last couple of years since we moved in together 3 years ago. Contrary to what some people say in the comments, he does a lot of the cleaning in the house and cooks every meal. His job was a normal 9 to 5, and mine usually is 10 to 6 or 10 to 7, so I usually come home to a clean house and dinner. It's only occasionally these negligent issues come up, but it is enough to make me nervous. As for why I love him and have stayed with him, he is great at a lot of things. He is loved by many people and is a staple figure of growth and positivity in many people's lives. He is a good leader and good partner aside from the things I have mentioned in this post. This post only contains his worst qualities and doesn't touch on any of his good ones. I think he just really needs help, and I don't know how to provide that help to him.